Good evening and welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, Mr. Snitbits,
Welcome back to A Real Study.
Black Girl Marvel,
But I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Mr. Marvelite,
not knowing anything about the film.
all the movie things,
And I was locked in right away.
the pre-review with Super Gummy Guru,
Preview.
and me, the Real Study movie voice guy. Let's go to the poster wall.
Good evening and welcome to The Real Study. This is Season 1, Episode 25, and I am Mr. Snitbits. And always with me to my left is Black Girl Marvel. Tonight we also have with us all the movie things. No Mr. Marvelite tonight, he is out sick. We all wish him the best. But we do have a special guest, Rachel Style, actress and extraordinaire, who we are happy to have on the show. How are you guys doing tonight? Awesome. Well, let's move over to the drive-in. As you guys see, these are the movies we'll be doing tonight. It's actually 2 TV shows and a movie. Starman, which was Rachel's choice, and we'll get into talking about that. And then DMZ and Moon Knight, which are 2 comic book shows happening right now. So moving over to the drive-in, and let's talk to our guest and say hi and see how are you doing, Rachel? I'm glad to have you on the show.
Very good, thank you. I'm really so excited to be here. I'm really honored.
We thank you for coming onto the show. We really appreciate it. So, right? Well, you've been acting for some time now, and you're down in the kind of mecca of acting down there in the LA area, and you've done some television shows. I think you want to tell us a bit about your career.
And then when I moved to LA, I was fortunate to start working in some really fun TV shows. So I've been on That 70s Show and Ugly Betty and Mad Men, and I did a Hallmark movie, done a lot of commercials and a couple movies. I did a TV show on Showtime with Hank Azaria called Huff.
Oh yeah.
That was, so I've, and I've had some interesting roles, because some of my roles, even though they've been smaller, have been with big movie stars. So it's just been amazing. I work with the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman in one scene, and Charlie Wilson's War, just an incredible actor. So yeah, it's just been a wild ride, and I'm enjoying it.
I need to know what's the Hallmark movie, because I love Hallmark movies.
You know what? That was actually really sweet. It was called Chasing a Dream. Andrew Lawrence was in it.
Oh really?
And actually the girl who, Krista Allen, do you guys know her? She was she's pretty big now. She was in 13 Going on 30.
She looks just like Jennifer Garner. She
does, doesn't she? Anyway, she had a small part in that. So it's kind of funny. And the message was really sweet, and I loved being in that film.
So yeah, A Christmas Dream?
It's called Chasing a Dream.
Chasing a Dream. Okay.
It's a football movie.
Chasing a Dream.
And
it is.
Starred Treat Williams.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet Treat?
Oh,
I did get to meet Treat Williams. Yeah, he was really neat. Yeah.
Very cool.
Good guy.
So, from the acting perspective, it sounds like, what we see from kind of the viewer's perspective is very different from just kind of your experiences and who you get to meet. And to you, those films may be bigger than maybe the public perceives, because to you, they're part of your life and what you've done. So I can imagine that would have been fun on any level. So
it's true. It's it really is something special getting to see what goes on behind the scenes, and then it really does change my perspective when I watch stuff. I mean, I hate to
Oh
say it.
yeah.
In some ways, I'm really picky because I just know a lot of stuff about what goes on, and I just think, well, why did they make that choice, and why did they
Yeah.
say it that way? And I mean, I wouldn't say criticizing, but at the same time, I'm somebody that loves all genres, and I'm a huge, you know, lover of movies and TV and all of that stuff. So it's kind of got both things going on, if that makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
critical, but I'm also like, give me more, and I love this,
Yeah.
and I want
Oh yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
so I'm a fan too. I mean, I'm also when growing up, I was a huge science fiction fantasy nerd. I mean, I would read tons and tons of books when my friends were off doing other things. I was reading, so that's part of who I am too.
Yeah.
So then when they adapt different books and things like that, I always get really excited, and I always have to read the book and all that kind of stuff.
That's
Now
awesome.
I've found
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Like I've
Yeah.
like there's the picky side. I've had some experience working on TV and movies, but I've also found, and maybe you feel this is true too. Like there's the picky thing, but then there's also like I have like such such a more appreciation and respect for like when I see something on screen, just like because you know how much work goes into something too, and
Oh
you're just like,
yeah.
how do they pull that off? And like you can just like I'm just imagining, all the work that goes behind some of those things too. Like, do you find
Absolutely.
yourself kind of doing that too? Yeah,
100%. It's a
yeah,
whole crew. And when you get onto the set, as I think you guys know, you get onto the set and you see how many people are working on
yeah.
a
Oh
film or a
my
TV
God, yeah.
show.
It's insane.
Hundreds of people,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of people. And they are all working so hard to make that content great for the
Yeah.
audience.
Hmm.
So you're seeing the actors, right? But
Right.
then
It's only a
it
piece.
can be really easy to criticize because you're just seeing
Mm-hmm.
the actors, and if you don't like the
Hmm.
actor or you don't like the writing, it's like, ah, well. But right, when you're involved and you see the crew and you see how much blood, sweat, and tears goes
Yeah.
into all of these shows, it
Hmm.
does absolutely. I agree. It does become harder to criticize in it, and the
Right.
appreciation is. I mean, I have. I've always appreciated it, and I appreciated, of course, when I first started getting onto sets. And then
Yeah.
let me tell you
Yeah.
one other thing too. When I started creating my own content, I was just like, okay, I
Yeah.
miss the director. I miss the hair and makeup people. I miss the lighting people.
Right.
I miss the
Mm-hmm.
key grip. I miss the DP. I'm like, oh my
Hmm.
goodness, because I had the great privilege of having all of these people help me. All I
Hmm.
had to do was
Yeah.
learn my lines, and
Yeah.
I've started doing my
And
own
know your
content
mark.
creation.
Then you're good.
Oh, and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh boy. So
You
I
have to
was,
wear every hat when you're doing
I
your
Yeah.
know, and
content.
it's
It's like
just
every
like,
hat.
what? So yeah,
I
100%.
love that. Yeah.
TikTok does
That's
tell us
awesome.
who, though, is almost kind of automatically a good editor, somebody better at sound design. We can kind of tell each channel has their perks and then learning as they go because we all seem to have learned
Yeah.
as we went,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
great. And yes, if you have not followed Rachel on TikTok, she is on TikTok as well as I think Instagram and several other social media platforms. So please do that as well. Let's see. Do you have a favorite movie?
Do I have a favorite movie? Whoa, like of
Man,
all
that's
the
hard.
movies? That is
Or okay,
You can't
tough.
ask that.
This is
or
my
That is
a
fig nose. This is
movie,
tough.
what I do.
or a
I was
movie do you
afraid you were
revisit a
gonna
lot,
ask me that.
or a
I was
movie
a
that you revisit a lot, because sometimes you can revisit a movie a lot, and that can kind of be like your favorite. Sometimes people hear favorite and it's very daunting.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So, is
yeah.
there a movie that you revisit a lot? I'll say
Mm, that's such a good question. I was like, okay, I should be prepared in case y'all ask me that. But
that.
like, here I go because it's like, oh my goodness, what genre? I'm gonna say, oh, I have an answer for that actually. I have an answer. I love The Shining.
Hmm.
Mm.
Love The
Okay.
Shining. I don't know why. I've seen it so many times, and I think I'm not sure. I just love the suspense. And that's
Mhm.
got to be one of my favorite. I love being scared. I love scary movies, but I like the psychological
Yeah.
scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Same.
And so yeah, The Shining is way up there for me.
All
Hmm.
right.
way up there. Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
an
Never
answer.
seen it.
Look at that. When I push a little, it happens.
You did, you did it.
So you were on one of my
Bits and
all-time
pieces.
favorite TV shows, so I feel like I have to ask you this. And I think I did in one of your TikTok lives. I asked you about this, but you were on that '70s show for an episode, and you got to work with the actor playing Fez, Wilbur Valderrama, I believe is his name.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It was great. That was really, really fun. Yeah, I played, it was a flashback scene. So I think he was supposed to be flashing back in high school, right? And so he's how he wants to own a hair salon is kind of what they're dealing with in the episode. Um, and so, it showed the scene that I was in supposed to show how obsessed he was with hair. And so my hair is still long, and at the time it was even longer. It was very long. And so I'm sure that was why I got cast. And then I'm sitting in front of him, and he goes to touch my hair. And so I turn around, and I'm wearing these big like 70s glasses, and I'm like, hey, and he just like, oh, like he was caught. But he was really cool. The whole cast was amazing. I think I did get to go to the table read, and I'm sure y'all are familiar with that, where that's where they read the episode through for the first time, just sitting at the table, and make some corrections or comments and things like that. And
Right.
the writers are there, the director, and sometimes the producers and stuff. So the table read, when you're cast on a really big show, is really your first opportunity to meet the actors before you go on set. So that can be really exciting too, because you see them and you get to meet them and say hi to them. And I remember everyone being really nice, really friendly, introducing themselves, and they're all excited to be there. And
That's cool.
there's a festive atmosphere, right, around table reads. I'm sure you all have been to some where you just get to do a little back and forth and talk about what's going to happen in the episode. And then the shooting day and actual shooting was pretty quick. I mean, that was multi-camera. And so
Yeah.
multi-camera is fun because it's different than other formats. And so they've got, a camera here, and they've got a camera over here. And so you don't, it takes a little bit of the pressure off. You don't have to worry so much.
Yeah.
And the directors of all those episodes, it's usually a different one every time. And so the directors, which is interesting, because if you come in as a guest star, the director is new too sometimes, which I always find
Yeah.
kind of interesting, right? So the cast is very cohesive, but then sometimes the director brings a different kind of an energy. Anyway, I can go off on all these tangents, y'all, so just stop me. But
We brought you on to talk, so that's why we
it was
asked.
fun. It was great. And then they probably didn't do too many takes. I don't remember, maybe 3 or something. But then there were other actors who Fez touched their their hair too, so I got to see them do their thing.
Funny.
And that was it. I mean, I'm sure it was like half a day or so. I mean, it was not, I don't know, maybe an hour in terms of like that
Yeah.
particular segment. But
And TV moves fast. Like they're
oh
Yeah.
yeah, they
Well, they
have
got
to
a show
keep
to
it
do,
moving.
yeah.
Exactly.
They got
well,
that
yeah,
shoot
and
for
that,
They do.
that's why they try
Yeah.
to do as less takes as possible.
And and they're able to do that because they're very organized, and
Yeah.
they tell you exactly what they want you to do ahead of time, and
Yep.
everything is organized, and really that's because there's a person for each job.
Yeah.
Right, so that
Yeah.
helps quite a bit with organization. Yeah.
No, I love it. Well, so you picked a movie for us to review tonight, and the movie is John Carpenter's Starman, which is kind of an off the beaten path John Carpenter film. It's not the typical John Carpenter, whether it be his kind of run of the mill human dramas or human like visceral dramas, or his really disgusting over the top horror. This kind of fits between those two in a weird way. So why did you pick this movie?
Yeah, I was worried. I thought, I wonder if there are going to be some groans from y'all when I picked Starman. Like, oh boy, this is taking it back. But I really just, because I worked with Jeff Bridges in a movie called Door on the Floor, and he was so wonderful to me. And of course, I was a fan before I worked with him. And I also am a huge John Carpenter fan. And so I was listening to some of your wonderful past episodes, and I heard the one about The Thing, and I thought, and so that's what made me think, like, I really want to talk about John Carpenter, and I can maybe share some fun stories about Jeff Bridges
Yeah.
too.
Nice.
And the other thing I really thought is, you know, when movie stars get to be really big, sometimes at the middle of their career or towards the end, you just think, how did this person become so famous? I mean, I don't think we think that with Jeff Bridges. I think we all know, but sometimes you
Right.
do, and you wonder why. And sometimes when I do that, I look back at the person's career, the
Mm-hmm.
entirety of their career,
I do that too. Yeah.
right? And isn't it interesting? Because sometimes when you watch some of their early stuff, you're like, wow, this person did that. And that's why,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can sort of
Yeah.
understand, like we all know him. I think a lot of people maybe know him as the dude, right?
Right.
From the Big
Yeah.
Lebowski. And so like, who was he before the dude and how did he get there and this kind of thing. And so and I had seen Starman years ago, but I hadn't seen it in a really long time. And so I was
Yeah.
just
Same.
excited to see it again. And yeah,
Mhm.
anyway, I'm going on again. So
Nice.
just,
No, no, no.
just
You're good. Oh, we would
Yeah.
definitely stop you if you wanted to. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
You're
So,
good.
because this is an older movie, I have to ask. I know that Brian has seen it. I have also already seen it. Lala, have you seen this before? So why don't we start? We're
I
gonna
gotta
we're gonna
figure.
go ahead and start with Lala since she's never seen it before. What was your initial impression of Starman?
Listen here, this movie. No, I'm fine. Okay. No, my initial reaction was I I thought about a movie like this because like as most of like our real students know, stuff like that. Like I act a little bit and do stand up and things like that, and I write. And I wrote a story that was not, it was kind of similar to this, but not like this. So when I saw it begin, I was like,
Oh, fun.
wait a second.
You're
It's
like, damn.
like I'm getting ripped off here. No,
Ripped off
but I
10
was
years
like, this
before I
is
was born.
exactly. I'm like, how dare?
But also,
Actually,
maybe it's a
no,
testament to you
two
being able
years
to come
before
up
I
with a
was
story.
born.
Yeah.
2 years before I was born. Don't age me
Oh,
back
wow.
that much. 2 years.
Sorry.
And it's funny because this movie actually came out on my mom's birthday in 1984. My brother was born in 1984,
Oh,
so it was
wow.
like a weird, like, anyway. Um, Initially I was like, this movie is kind of weird, especially when he's like a baby that grows into a man.
Yeah, he's that
Proto
ugly
baby.
baby.
Listen, that scene was daunting. Honestly, I would like to say though, the that whole scene of like her waking up, seeing him
Yeah.
stretching that body out to becoming a man, and
And that's
then
probably the most John Carpenter thing about this movie.
listen,
You
it
know?
was very John Carpenter, and
Yeah.
it was like it
totally.
was so realistic. Her reactions, her screaming, the way she jumped, the way she moved. Because like I don't see realistic things in movies anymore. Like when people get scared, it's very much like, how dare I be scared? No, I'm used to it. And then we get to the thing, and it's like she was like freaked out. Like when he like, I will understand her not running because it's like a daunting thing to see like your dead husband now alive in your living room. It's a weird thing to encounter. But then like when he moved and she knew it wasn't him, she was like, you're not him. And then she just passed out. Like I was like, that's the most realistic thing. That's the best direction I could probably give if I was a director, is to be like, and then when they panned back over to her, she was just in a box.
Yeah, in the box.
I thought it was the funniest thing. This movie was actually like, I can tell this is like a 1984 type of film. I see the appeal and why people like it. I'm not sure if you can make something like this now. I mean, I feel like you could, but it would just have to have more elements to it, because there were certain moments where I was like, how did they find them? Who told who? Like the guy looks like her husband. Like how would you know it was a like, you know what I mean? Like I get like, or maybe it's like there's an obituary, like, but it's like there was like things that were missing that people put in movies nowadays to like catch you up in a sense, or like to add in those fill in those blanks. But initially I thought it was very John Carpenter and interesting. It was a very interesting watch, honestly.
All right. Rachel, what about your first time seeing Starman? What was your initial impression?
You know, the first time, I really don't remember. I mean, I do not remember it.
I don't think I
It
remember
was
either.
only watching it the second time a couple days ago that I remembered, okay, I have seen this.
Right.
So I don't retain that memory of when I first saw it. But I enjoyed it the second time a lot. I can get into that later.
So your re-initial impression was good. You really did enjoy it this time around.
I did, absolutely. I think I mean, I agree with Black Marvel about the John Carpenter-esque, when he's stretched out. That was hysterical. I mean, it just reminded me of,
No, I was
it was
cracking
just
up
so
so
like,
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
You're like,
seriously, that was
damn.
really comical. I mean, and also I agree with what you said about there were a lot of points where it's like, wait, how do they know all this stuff? Like, we
Mm-hmm.
missed that.
Yeah.
Like what
It
happened
just,
there?
yeah.
But I think the premise, though, I mean,
Premise is
it's
solid.
just so timeless, right? I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
so timeless. I
Yeah.
know it's been done so many times before, but I just think that it is so easy to. It's just such a cool premise. I mean, it's just like,
Mhm.
what is okay? Alien comes from another planet. What's that person? What's that creature going to do? Is that creature
Mhm.
friendly? Are they not friendly? And I think one of the things I adored about Jeff Bridges' performance is how realistic I really thought that was. I mean, he was innocent. I mean, his
Yes,
right,
that's the
his
word. Innocent.
innocence,
Innocence.
his
Yeah.
innocence, and his like, I want to say neutrality also. I mean, he
Mhm.
was just observing
The way he
Oh
held the
yeah,
gun.
totally.
and right, and just the way he was imitating like when he would like practice
Yeah.
those
All the
expressions,
facial expressions and
that
yeah.
humans do.
Mhm.
It was, and he was funny too. I mean, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Jeff Bridges fan, so I was predisposed to like his
Right.
performance in this. But again, I am very picky, and I definitely would have said if I didn't like what he did, and
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one more thing. I can see why he was nominated for an Academy Award because I had looked it up and it was like he got nominated, and I was like, huh. I see it because if you think about it, like something, his performance is something like they probably hadn't seen, like kind of like done in a way, and then everything he did was very like head cocked to the, like listening and paying attention and
He blinks like
very
4 times in the whole film.
man, like
Right.
it's very like,
Right.
and then just being confused and lost, and then like listening and react. Like, it was just like I was just like, yeah, man, good job, man. I would have nominated you too. Like that's good stuff. Yeah. So.
For sure. All the movie things. Your first remembering of the film, your initial
Man,
impression.
I've seen this so many times. This is like one of my mom's favorite movies, and so I watch it with my mom a lot. So I remember being a kid, and what's funny is like the thing that stuck with me throughout my whole life was the traffic light scene, and where where he's talking about observing what she did, and he was like, "Red light stop, green light go, yellow light go very fast,"
Fast. Yeah.
and that like stuck with me forever. So that's like my like core memory of this movie, you know.
So at
And
every stoplight that turns yellow, do you think about this movie?
oh yeah, so yeah, I think of Starman all the time. Like yeah, it's it's so funny,
Nice.
and I still I do that. Yellow light go very fast. Um,
We do not
and
condone going really fast at yellow lights here at the Real Study. Just wanted to put that out there.
I mean, I
yeah,
kind of,
yeah. I mean, if you're in a hurry, and it's safe,
got somewhere to be.
and there's not like a giant truck and traffic
Right?
crossing the other way, yeah, then
Yeah.
you're
Don't
good.
go
But
against a hay bale truck.
yeah,
Not a good
exactly.
idea.
But yeah, I remember always liking this movie when I was younger. I probably didn't understand a lot of the, some of the other stuff, the nuances to it. You know, um, for some reason I did not remember. So when I rewatched it, I did not remember the like when he starts forming into the full Scott. I'm like, man, I do not remember this. Why don't I remember? You think that would like be maybe I just like was traumatized by it and I blocked it out of my memory. I don't know, but the second time around, I just love this movie. And it kind of gave me a little bit of like um, midnight special vibes in a way. Like it's kind of similar in that way. It's like a road trip kind of movie, but it's like this like very grounded sci-fi. It's not like crazy out there sci-fi, in your face, but it's um yeah, just a kind of like a really, you know, focused story. And it's like a road trip kind of story, and it's like a love story, and there are
The
elements.
weirdest love story of all
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
like very very sweet though, and like the like it's hard to see him go. You know what I mean? Like it really, I don't know, it hit me more emotionally this time around than I remember it uh any other time before. So yeah, I love this movie.
To that point, I love the way that Starman talks about us and the positive
Yeah.
he sees in us. Those
Yeah.
got me. Those got me misty because I'm just like, man, those are so true. Like they're apt. And I think for me, this is a strange film because when you watch Carpenter's work, he's generally pretty cynical about human beings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He really just nails home how terrible we are in most ways and how we're not to be trusted. That is absolutely a theme in a lot of his films. And this film doesn't do that. Like, even the bad guy government, he's like, shoot warning shots. Nobody was ready to be the true bad guy. And I love our SETI scientist. I think he's phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah, he's great.
And he's, I got Close Encounters meets E.T. meets...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe Blues Brothers a little. I don't know, just from the road trippy aspect.
Yeah, music-y type of,
Right. And then I think the one thing, and this is Carpenter does his own music, which is great, because everybody should do more of that. But I think his music kind of hits a ceiling, and he's never able to get emotionally above a certain point. And had he had somebody else do the music for this film, I think it would have been an Academy Award sweep. That's just my opinion, because the story's solid, the acting, Karen Allen is solid.
Yeah.
Bridges obviously nominated already. I think it would have done well. I think Carpenter's career would have taken off, but he tries to keep things lower budget, which I respect. But that's the one thing I noticed. Even that final scene, I'm like, Close Encounters nailed the music a little harder on this. That's just me. But
Right.
I do remember it from when I was a kid, but I don't remember any of the government scenes. I'm like the opposite of Brian. I don't remember any of the government really at all, but I remember all of the weird scenes with him, and it creeped me out, and because I was like 7 when this came out.
Yeah.
And I hadn't revisited in like 25 years, so this was fun. So yeah.
I will say he was very. I want to know. I would love to know like more behind the scenes things, because it's the scene when they're in the hotel, and she's like, from the light, you look like Scott, you kind of look like him a little bit, and he's like, but you said it's the nose, right?
The nose,
it's like
yeah.
the nose is different, and the eyes are different. And when he was like born, I guess we can say, when he was born, I was like, his eyes look weird, and like I just like immediately thought that like it looks like they put like maybe extra layer of like prosthetic or something to make his eyes more, I don't know, like pinchy in a way, to just kind of like hone in on the fact that he's looking different, or like he's always maybe like guessing and watching and all that type of stuff. And so when she made the comment, I was like, and I was like, his eyes are different from people's. And then but I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, you guys are gonna hear a microwave on my end for a minute, so apologies. I'm just like, that's interesting, but I would just love some like, cause I like practical effects, I love prosthetics, I love all that type of stuff. And obviously back then in 1984, like that's pretty much all they had. And as Snitty said, like John Carpenter, lower budget. So I would just love to know like the behind the scenes stuff of like how they made some things work, how, like even lapsing with the child, like how did they, cause as gross and funny as it was, it still looks like okay. You know what I mean? Like it's still an effect that I would love to be like.
I think they took cues from American Werewolf and that team, because there were aspects of it that felt like the shots were similar to the stretching of the legs and things.
Especially when he turned around and like you could see the bones moving in the back was very like werewolf to me. So yeah,
it makes me want to look at the effects team, because it might be some of the same people. I mean, there's a lot of that obviously crossover.
But Jeff Bridges got body. That's all I want to say. That boy got body in his film. I was like, Jeff
he was
Bridges.
fit back then. Yeah, he was.
I said, sir. That's how you know he was broke though, because like that body was nice. As he started making that money, he got a little thicker. He kept making that money.
Right.
He was eating pretty good. But he was looking great in this movie. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Lebowski.
No, the little chub he's got in Lebowski. Can we talk about the fact that the early 80s, everybody loved to focus in on the space race still and used it in every film's, like Voyager was used all the time.
And the government was bad too. And that and the government, there's always some government stooge.
Right. And then the very kind of
like
more liberal
antagonist.
scientist that was like, no, I'm not going to get it. There's always
That was like early 80s to mid 80s. Like that's what you did.
But isn't that like a blowback to the
with
50s,
sci-fi especially? Right.
The 50s were so like aliens will kill us all that we finally were like, let's tone that down.
Yeah, and that was like a lot of that can be attributed to the whole like government fighting communism and trying to like with McCarthyism and that whole thing. There's a lot of that attached to this idea of like, aliens bad and
Yeah.
oh,
Also,
but
like the
so are
government's the
communists.
worst.
Yeah.
The government's the worst. They're always like, let's do this thing, and then it works, and then they're like, oh, we should have did that thing. It worked too well, and then they're trying to take stuff back. So it's just like. It's like every movie kind of puts that into their thing when it's like dealing with the government, because even the SETI guy said it. He was like, we invited him here.
Yeah, right? Exactly. I know. Like
he even brought the record back. It was literally an invitation. He literally brought the hey, here's my ticket. Can I come in? And we shot him down when he came to the door. Go ahead.
I want to ask y'all about that scene. Okay, when the Mark Sherman character, like, it struck me as pretty funny when he jumps into the alien spacecraft. Do you remember that? And he finds the record. I was like, okay, hold on a second. Like, that took me out of it a little bit, where he just had no hesitation and he just jumped right in there.
I know.
And then he finds the record anyway. But in general, I loved that character. But that moment I just thought was funny. Is that what we're going to do now? We're just going to jump into the alien spacecraft.
I do want to speak
like
to
I would have explored the ship more or something. At least,
for sure. But I want to speak to that because there was a mention earlier that you guys mentioned that they didn't really explain how the government found them. And I think they did. I think there were subtle lines that did cover those bases. They talked about the trajectory of the ship and where it may have gone so they could find them in Arizona.
Yeah, that was later in the film. Yeah.
The guy on the road with the burning, tire iron, gave
he was leaving.
So, like,
he was
there were
leaving
clues
pieces.
as they went.
Yeah,
he was
the
leaving
SETI,
like breadcrumbs as they kept going, and then she was leaving stuff, and she was screaming, "Help me!" So little things got back. So
that SETI scientist had said to like, "Hey, listen to the police radios."
Right. Little things.
Because if there's anything weird at all, report it back, and that's like where you first heard about the tire iron getting melted situation, and then so on.
I love that that's his power. These little balls.
I know, like,
and then
my one thing though is like,
because like, where did they come from? Like they just dropped out of him. Like is he
born? Right?
I think no, he might have been like surrounded by like his little light orb that we see floating across the water. Could have had them like floating around him, and then as he built his body, they fell off. Like there was no.
My thing too
I didn't
is
see that snitty.
They're like a one and done thing too, though. That was my only thing. Was like I wish they weren't like a one and done thing. Like he only has so many. He can only use so many.
But that's why he was dying. Had he not used them.
Right, but the thing is, like, why is it a one and done thing? You know what I mean? Like, why can't you just have one, and like, have it just like have so many uses? Why does it have to be like multiple balls?
Mm-hmm. I get that. Like, why did they disappear?
And then
like,
he leaves that one
disappear?
with her. He leaves the last one with her. So
it's for their baby that he impregnated her with.
It's Superman's dad. What are we talking about? This is like she's going to take the ball. She's going to give it to the kid. He's going to throw it into the Arctic and.
Oh, but for anybody who's wondering, that's what the TV show about. The TV show is him coming back to take care of his son.
There's a TV show. What?
Yes, it came out in 1986. Yes.
Oh no!
I was curious about that. I was like,
so this did that well that they made a show.
They made a show. It came out in 1986. It's like a continuation. Like he comes back, and obviously he ain't Jeff Bridges, but he comes back, and he's like goes to take care of his son who's like now on Earth and all that kind of stuff. I haven't watched it because I kind of do want to watch it though, but I haven't watched it. It's on Tubi, and Tubi is free, so if you guys want to watch it, it's on Tubi. I just want to throw that out.
That's where we also watched this show, or at least I did. I watched Starman on Tubi.
No, me too. Yeah, I did the same thing. But I thought it was nice. Okay. I think it's weird that all of a sudden he saved the deer and now she's in love, but whatever. I get it because she thought he was like hostile at first, because he didn't really know anything. He's learning as he goes. But I wouldn't have had sex with him. I would have appreciated him as an alien / kind of human being in a way. I would appreciate him as that. But I mean, she was in grief, missing her husband. He was sweet. So it's like, I know it's like a whole thing in her brain going crazy.
Yeah.
But again, this ain't your husband. And then he
it kind of
impregnated her. It was super sweet though, because like it's his DNA down to the core, but it's not like him.
Right.
But it was super sweet because like he impregnates her, and then he's like, believe me when I tell you pregnant. Like he was like very like believe me.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, if you don't want the baby, like I can take it back.
Like just
and
stop
I was just
it.
like, what are you, sir? How do you stop conception? I was just like, that's he's gonna kill her.
So
What are you gonna-
he has
what are you
powers
gonna do?
quite on the level of like Galactus or Silver Surfer, where he quite literally
Yeah.
can just be like exist, not exist. So like he is Silver Surfer,
Which makes
like, really.
which don't make sense because all these balls disappear and I'm dying. Like it's so how powerful is he? Is he really powerful?
So he's
or is
Silver
his power
Surfer
limited?
with like a credit line. Like he's only got so many,
You can
cosmic
only, yeah.
I
things he
see.
can do.
I
Right.
see. But I thought it was sweet though. And I thought that was a sweet exchange. Again, I wouldn't have had sex with him, but I thought it was a sweet exchange where he was just like, "You're pregnant," and she was like, "I told you I couldn't." It was just like a very. I felt like that was a moment where it just
Yeah.
emotionally it hit me.
He hit her.
I think that moment
He
emotionally
healed her
hit
with
me.
a ball, right? That's what healed her womb, not the time on the train, right?
No, yeah. The when she was in the trailer, she was
Right.
like healed,
Yeah.
which I think was
She was like
crazy
Beverly.
because they told these cops to not do anything, and they shot an innocent woman.
I know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
pretty much killed
That
her.
was intense. Yeah.
I was like, yo, she was slumped to the side, and I was just like, jeez. And so, but yeah, so it's just one of those things where I thought that was a sweet exchange. I felt like there weren't many sweet moments to me in this film. Like, I felt like they did. I mean, I felt like they had moments, but that was a very like, huh? There's a very nice exchange between the two. I like that.
The sweetest moment, and yes, pun intended, is the Dutch apple pie moment. That
Oh
moment
yeah, of course.
is like Bridges,
First time he said bye,
Bridges,
like, that's
right here,
insane.
like his face,
Yeah.
like I could taste the pie. Like, good job, Jeff. Like, really.
Like, yeah, his face
Mhm.
lit up. But I love he questions everything. So she's like, no. You eat this first, then you eat this. He's like, why?
I know.
Like, and then she's like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
why?
Just we do it that way.
Yeah.
Just that's how we do it. But it's like it doesn't like it makes you. Well, for me at least, it made me kind of like go back in my life and just be like, certain things you do like of tradition, or you do because of repetition, or like this is how my parents did it, so this is how I do it. And it's like you don't have to do it that way. You can eat your chips and then eat dinner if you want. And like, you know, if you want to, like nobody's saying you can't do that. So it's just like for him to be like talking to this primitive species, being like, so why I gotta do that? Is there a reason behind this? And it's like, it's really not. Just eat
Yeah.
your pie when you want to eat your pie, you know? I thought that was great.
But then on the train, I was like, "Oh, you're about to get something better than pie."
No, his face, Brian, his face when she was
Right,
sleeping.
I know.
Like, I was
yeah.
like, he's a man. He's a man.
Seriously.
So I feel like Starman got a better time on Earth than E.T. because E.T. only got to experience like those subtle
Right.
things like food and like a few external things. But Starman got to like run the gambit, you know, as a human. Or K-Pax
Oh,
is another
yeah.
movie like that. Or another
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges film, except he's not the. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
it's interesting to think about. But yeah, I love like you said, Rachel. I love this person from another world experiencing us because we get to look at ourselves, and that's a great story. I think when we get to.
Plus, there's like so much humor in it too, like throughout. I mean, he's just. I mean, it's just so funny some of the things that he does. I mean, not just the way he talks, but yeah, just like we're experiencing all these things for the first time with him through his eyes, you know, and it's
Yeah.
funny because we
Define
know.
funny.
yeah, exactly define, you know,
That's one of my favorite parts of
everything.
it is the humor. Just
Yeah,
all of
I
it.
know, it's
Just
so
how
good.
absurd it is and the
Yeah.
reflection back at us because
Yeah.
like just the example you gave, Black Girl Marvel, of the dessert after. Why do we have to do that? Why? And it just makes you
Mhm.
think, you
Yeah,
know?
it does. It really
Why?
does.
Exactly.
And honestly,
But
I
I
like
love
him
that.
having to I like him having to explain things. Her have to explain things. Because how do you explain
Yeah.
best
How do you
or
explain
great?
love?
How do you explain love? Like how do you explain these things? And I love the definitions. I was like, oh really? I was like, teach me stuff. I felt
Yeah.
like him, like, ooh.
Exactly.
So they should make a sequel to this because both actors are still acting, and
Right.
I would love to see it. And then we can have like Leo DiCaprio play the kid or something. I think that would work.
Ew, no, thank you. I mean, no offense. I love me some Leo. No, don't get it twisted. I love
They
me
should
some
make
Leo.
a sequel. They should.
I know.
But I
Who knows,
wouldn't
Leo-
mind a sequel with like, but it's like, when does it take place? Like, would it be a thing where it's like a sequel, but it's like still like the first one where like another being from his place comes down to like bring him back, and then it's a female and she meets the son or something like that, and then he has his own like, or maybe they need the son because he's part, even though he's human, he's still
Right.
part of him. I would be curious to see what a sequel would
Or
be.
maybe they think he's an abomination and some being from destroys to attempts to get rid of him, and
No,
Or
that's a
maybe
good
the
point.
son goes
Bridges
to
has to
find
come
him.
back.
No, Brian, that's
Maybe
a great point. Rachel, you were going to say, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say maybe the son goes to find him. Like maybe
Yeah,
like a
Yeah, because she said he would know what to do, and maybe he didn't know until he's 18 or 25 or
yeah,
however
exactly.
it is.
You want what to do with that ball yet?
He would know what to do with that ball.
Now, what
Yeah.
about another
And he
species?
said that he has all the knowledge that he has. So
Right.
it's one of
Could be
those
another
things.
species.
Another species is something he mentions because he says there's a lot of intelligent, violent species out there. So
Yeah,
it
they're
could be a whole
savages.
nother
yeah.
savage species
Yeah.
coming to take him out because
Mhm.
they're the like nice people of the universe.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
Cocoon was the other movie this kind of reminded me of.
Oh yeah, Cocoon.
I love Cocoon.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a good one.
so
Never
good.
seen it.
Love Cocoon.
Really?
Yeah.
Spielberg.
So
Yeah, never
good.
seen
Yeah.
And I like Spielberg, but I just never got to it.
Gutenberg's
Is that
like
Brian
hype.
Dennehy?
Yeah. Dennehy, yep.
Yeah, Dennehy.
Yeah.
You got
So good.
Wilford Brimley.
Brimley with his
Yeah.
diabetes.
Which is funny because like people compare like talk about Cocoon, and then people like they were like in their 50s or something like that, like mid 50s, mid to late 50s back then. But then they talk about like, but Paul Rudd is the same age as Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon. Like
That's like, how are they going to make this is 50?
you're like, what? Yeah,
I don't know how they're going to do it.
yeah.
I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, Paul Rudd doesn't age.
There were some kind of interesting side characters in this film. The chef that gave him a hitchhiking ride was the dad from the Gremlins, I believe, or something. There was some. No, it wasn't the dad from Gremlins. It was a different character. But there were many.
Can I say these people are very nice though? These people are like
I
very
know.
nice.
Yeah, like everyone's giving their own rides.
Like, you know what I mean? Like she was just like, she
Yeah.
just yelled out, I need a ride west
Yeah.
immediately. And he was like, I'll take you, put my money down, put my cap on.
Yep.
And
That's
he
a
had the
freaking like
fastest
hot
car
rod.
known to man. And I was just like,
That was
oh, okay.
that was a heck
And
of a
then
hot
he
rod.
and then he fires an explosive off for
I
her
know,
and just
like-
like risks
Yeah.
God knows what. I
For
mean,
the
wait, hold on a
government.
second. What
Yeah.
could
Come
happen to
after
this
him,
kid?
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like wait, what?
funny.
You
The
know?
guy
I
that
was
comes
like,
to her door and is like, the cops are going through your stuff. Like, why did he show up?
yeah.
Who does that?
Yeah.
I'd be like, the
good
cops are
looking
going
out,
through
man.
your
How did
stuff.
he
I'm not
know?
telling them. You know.
And he's like a
Exactly.
frat
I don't know
boy,
what
right?
they
I mean, they're having like it's like a frat party, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna
were
go
like
help this
tossing
Yeah.
random
vending
stranger."
machines and stuff. So,
Yeah, everybody was
Intense.
nice except for the head of the Defense Department. That guy was a tool.
Right.
Right, can I just say, Aina said Timothy Chalamet as a son. That was the first person I thought of, and then I was
Oh
like,
yeah. Totally see
then
that.
I was like, I'm kind of tired of seeing him. No offense, I think he's a phenomenal actor, but I just love like seeing new faces on screen for the most part. It's just that
Right.
when you're oversaturated on screen a lot for
Well, I
me,
mean,
it takes
yeah.
it removes
That's
the
like
magic
Jared
of your
Leto.
acting sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless you can
And-
transform yourself.
No, unless you could transform yourself. I haven't seen that too much from him. I've seen his clothes change, but I mean, he's been similar a little bit, not like so similar to the point where I'm like, oh my god, another movie with him in it.
Yeah.
But it's similar enough for me to be like, let's give him a break. Let's let him grow as a person, as an actor, and then let's get somebody new in, you know, type of thing.
That's how they are, though. They find a formula, and they're like, "Okay, we need
Oh,
this
yeah.
guy, this
Oh
guy,
my
this
God.
guy. Oh no, we need this guy," and then the numbers just keep
This
getting
plus
higher.
Oh,
So
Timothy
yeah.
then they just
Chalamet,
do it. Yeah, and
exactly.
then
They
I
just
heard-
honestly, I feel like they pick a lot of lookalikes, and then they'll do
course.
something like this one. Oh, he got old. We need a younger one. Somebody find us a younger
Right.
version of this one, and then it's all of a sudden they're like, "What do these people look alike?" And it's like, I wonder.
Well, that's why
because
there's so
that
many
person
actors,
checks all
right?
the boxes.
Right?
That person checks all the boxes. It's like, okay, this guy's got like, big blue eyes, and they look like
Yeah.
this, and they
Mhm.
look like, and they're like, they want to make sure that everybody's trying to get the winning formula and make the money. So I mean,
feel
they're
like-
they're just like
I feel
checking
like
all the boxes.
I just feel like the world is so diverse now. Everybody's the winning formula.
Mhm.
If you could just get somebody with really good talent, they can all be the winning formula because there's somebody in the world that looks like this person just because they don't have like blue eyes and blonde hair and these,
Right.
I
these
hope
like
so.
typical
I hope
Hollywood
so.
features.
I know.
I really hope that
Yeah.
it goes that way because it's just like it's a billion people out here that maybe got really messed up bangs like right here, and then if you find somebody that has hair like that, they be like, "It's me on screen." You can find everybody for
It's-
everybody.
It's getting better, but I feel like there were still long stretches not
Oh,
too
yeah.
long
No,
ago where
no,
just
for
like you
sure.
said, it's the same actor and actress over and over and over
Over
again. It's
again.
like
Yeah.
no hate on
So-
those, you know,
Right,
fellow
yeah.
actors
Not
and
at
all,
all.
but it's just like,
I heard a great interview from Matthew
Mhm.
McConaughey about this, where he said at some point he became the rom-com king, right? He basically, that's all they would do.
Oh,
And so
Yeah.
he
I
went
think
out
you
of his
shared
way.
that with me,
I
or
think
I
I
saw
might have,
that
because I
somewhere.
think it was Gary
yeah.
Vee that was interviewing him.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Yep.
He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
that after time,
good.
they finally came back to him and they were like, "Hey, we got this rom com, $5 million to do it." And he's like, "No, I'm good. I'm really done with doing rom coms. I want to act. I want to go a different direction." And they were like, "No, you're going to do rom coms. This is what you're going to do." So they come back $7 million for rom com. No, 12, $15 million. Okay, now let's start talking about maybe doing a rom com. But he took like a 2-year hiatus. If you look at his filmography from
Yeah.
2009 to
Mhm.
2011, no Matthew McConaughey. And it was because he wanted to break that chain that you're talking about and get outside of it. And we all saw what he did after that. He's become
Yeah.
one hell of an actor since
He's
then.
become Oscar winner Matthew McConaughey. Like,
right.
and I feel like sometimes
Yeah.
you need that break in between to just reevaluate. Like, because sometimes like when you start off, you're starting off like, I'll take whatever I can get. Like, I'm auditioning. If I get it, I'm gonna do it. And then the one thing that hits for you is the one thing that everybody wants to see you in all the time. But if you're an actual, like, if you not saying actual actor, I don't mean no disrespect about that, because some people like to stay in that stereotypical, this is what I do, and I have no problem with that. It makes them money. But like most people I know, like fellow like actors that I know, are acting because we love the art of it. We love the oh, I get to be this, I get to try this hat on, I get to be, you know, these things. And if all I am is the best friend in every movie, like it defeats the purpose of like why I'm here, or why I decided to
Right.
like become this actor and put up with the scrutiny of saying yes or no to me, or like, or more no's than yeses and things like that. So sometimes you got to step back and let people forget you, and then kind of come back in something that makes them be like, huh, I didn't know that you could
Mhm.
Okay,
do this.
you keep teeing me up for these. I gotta throw this one out
You're
there.
welcome.
So,
You're welcome.
Earl Haley, Jackie Earl Haley, was
Mhm.
apparently in freaking Bad News Bears. He was like one of the main characters that I loved and remembered, and then he disappeared forever. Watchmen. So like, you want to talk about somebody
Yeah.
who shifted
Ah.
and became a completely different person? Wow.
Well, that's also like the actor who played Short Round and dang it, why am I forgetting his name in Goonies?
Data.
Oh,
Data. Yeah.
yeah.
He's in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and he's like amazing in it. I mean, he's
Mhm.
like one of the biggest. I mean, he has like such an emotional weight to the film too.
That's
and,
super
like,
cool.
yeah, he's amazing. Yeah.
You just
I
made
mean,
me
the
want
And it's
same
crazy
thing
to see
with
him back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's
exactly.
so cool.
Honestly, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also the same with I forget her name. I know her name when I hear it, but it's the little girl that was in oh, jeez. It was like her and Macaulay Culkin. What's the movie? And
Oh,
he
from My
dies
Girl?
by bees. My Girl, the
Anna,
girl from
Yeah.
My Girl.
Anna Chomsky,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
Anna
in Veep
Chomsky?
Yeah,
and came
yeah.
back.
She was in Veep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was
Yes.
so different in
Wow.
Veep. Yeah, yeah.
She
And
disappeared for a
sarcastic
while.
and funny, and
then
yeah.
she came back, and you were like, "Well, shut up! The girl
Yeah.
from She Can Act."
I
Like, you
know.
did, like,
Yeah.
you know, like what? So
It's
I
true.
love stories.
Sometimes when they take a long break, it can be really cool to see what an actor comes back with
Mhm.
and how they transform. That can almost be even more incredible than a new
Mhm.
actor because it's
Yeah.
almost like, you know, we
I
get to
mean, it kind of like they
reimagine them.
are. It's kind of like
But
they
it
are new
doesn't
actors
happen
in a
to
way.
everybody. I mean,
True.
it's hard to do that. Some people I feel like they try to do that and they can't. So I feel like I'll try and think of an example of that because I think that actors and actresses do like to try to reinvent themselves if they can, but they're not always successful. You know, I think like when they can do that, it's incredible. But you have to have that timing exactly right and
Mhm. Honestly, I feel like
then
it's
the right
timing.
Yeah,
project
yeah.
to
That's
come
the
It's
along.
thing.
timing, correct
Yeah.
Yeah.
projects, you know, because some stuff just won't, I don't know, some stuff just won't hit. Like for me, I feel like Kevin Hart couldn't like disappear and try to reinvent himself. I feel like he has to stay on this like hard worker wave type of thing and get the jobs that I get, do the things that I do, and then slowly start producing himself because he's kind of
Mhm.
like I'll say a two-trick pony in a sense because comedy, he has the comedy. He can do the comedic films, and every now and again he'll do like a drama or something where you're like, that wasn't half bad that you did that.
He can play
You
an
know?
asshole really well, like really well.
I mean, you could play yourself like really well. So I just feel
I'm
like,
not trying to
and
say
this
he's
is
an asshole, but still.
and this is no disrespect to him. I watched his documentary, like the behind the scenes, thinking he's a bit of a dick. Like he could be a dick to people, and so like it's easy when you are like that. It's easy to tap into that to be fully that on screen. So like
That's fair.
I'm not saying that he doesn't have good elements because we all have those good elements. We all have those like dick moments where we're like a dick to each other or something like that. But and you could play off those things. So
That's fair. I think this is a good time to do our rating of this film and move over to the pre-review and get on to the 2 television shows that we're going to review. So why don't we start
I'm
with...
so excited.
I am too, actually. So why don't we start with our special guest, Rachel?
Yay.
Go ahead and rate the film as we discussed 1 through 10. Your system. Start with: did you see this when you were young, and what would you have rated it? And then your adult rating.
Well, I don't remember seeing it when I was younger, so I have to kind of skip that. I have to just
Right.
skip over that. I don't retain enough of that, but I loved it the second time around, and I'm gonna give it an 8 because it was up there for me.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
All right, an 8. That's solid. All the movie things.
When I was younger, I'd probably say a 7. When I was younger, I know I liked it, but there's still like I wasn't fully, getting all of the nuance that it has as a kid. Today, yeah, it's like a 8.5 for me. So
Nice.
yeah,
Black Girl Marvel.
still holds up.
12-year-old me probably wouldn't have paid attention to this film, being totally honest. But me now, this is my first time watching it. I can honestly say that I could probably watch this again with no prompting, because Rachel, what I usually do is like if I don't think I'm gonna rewatch something, it's very much like 6 and down, maybe. I wouldn't rewatch anything, and somebody would have to make me watch it again, type of thing. But for this, I could probably go back and watch it, like, because I feel like I could probably go back and dig a little deeper into it. Karen Ashley, I believe that's her name.
Karen Allen.
Is that her name?
Karen
Allen.
Allen.
Okay, Karen Allen. I think Karen Ashley is the Yellow Ranger from Power Rangers, the second Yellow Ranger. But anyway, she was amazing. It made me want to watch Indiana Jones now, and then because I've never seen that either. So
Oh, that's right. No, that's on the list. That's right.
it's on the list, so it's fine. It's on the list. Don't die over there. It's on the list.
I almost did. I couldn't believe it.
And of course, Jeff Bridges is amazing, and so, and I've been a fan of his for a while, so like it's great. So I would probably give this like an 8, like a solid 8. Yeah.
So this gets a 7 on IMDb. So that's actually a pretty decent rating for a Carpenter film. I don't think all of his movies get to this level. Myself, I think I didn't love. Like, I remember the film, but I think it creeped me out enough that I think it was like a 6 for me when I was a kid. But now I'm gonna definitely give it. I'm gonna give it an 8 too. Part of me like wants to go to a 9, but I'm gonna keep it in an 8. Just because I think that it is solid enough, but I think it's starting to be a little dated, which is okay. But anyway. So yeah, 8. So that said, we are going to move over to the pre-review with Sean, Super Comic Guru. Again, if you are not following Sean on TikTok or any other social media, please do. And we will be right back.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Sean, and I'm finally back with this week's pre-review. This week we have 3 incredible theatrical releases. We start off with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which, that's crazy that I'm saying Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That first one was way, way better than I ever thought it would be. If they keep the same energy, the same vibe, they keep adding these characters, I can't wait to see Knuckles. It's going to be so much fun. This looks incredible, and I cannot wait to see it. Next, we have Ambulance, which is, on surface, it really looks like nothing more than a Michael Bay explosion fest with a loose story and, some action here and there. It may turn out to be that, but I honestly think this movie from that trailer looks like it's going to be something a little more. I'm really hoping there's some substance here. And, Jake Gyllenhaal, the cast that they have, it's going to be great. I cannot wait to watch it. The next release for theaters, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. My wife and I are already trying to make plans. She has to work next weekend, so we have to put it off another week, but I will get there. I will get to see this movie. I love Michelle Yeoh. She is absolutely incredible. This story, this trailer, it all looks wonderful. So trippy. Multiversal madness is everywhere and everything right now, and I'm perfectly fine with it because multiverse just allows you to do whatever you want without reason or cause, and I really love movies like that. This looks so good. And lastly, we have a Netflix original with Metal Lords. Let me tell you, I mentioned this one because this looks like a movie that I will have so much fun watching. Two high school kids want to form a metal band, but one of them, it's referenced in the trailer. Is she Yoko? Because she's a cellist and she's moving up. She's disrupting the band and causing issues. This looks like just a fun high school story. And I love metal music and stuff like this. It looks really good. So that's all I have this week. I'm glad to be back. I will see y'all next week.
And we are back with the real study. That was the pre-review. And Lala wanted to definitely take in there, but she doesn't understand as I had her muted, so that's okay.
I know.
It's not because I wanted to, just it works better.
It's fine. No, it's fine. It's okay.
So we are back, and we have a couple TV shows that we're reviewing this week, which we haven't done TV shows in forever. And I know Lala loves doing the TV show reviews. And of course, we have a TV show actress with us, so this all works out perfectly. So here we go back to the poster wall. We are going to be discussing DMZ. We're going to leave Moon Knight for the last. That way, if people haven't seen it yet, which I don't know, it's been on Disney Plus for how many days now? If you haven't seen it yet, you can always bail at the end of the show.
That's very interesting.
What?
From the guy to this, like, how dare you ruin Spider-Man 18 months after it's out, and then you're giving people barely a week.
To me. It wasn't available to me.
You're giving people barely a week.
No. I'm just saying that's why I'm putting.
It was available to you in a theater.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, you're good. So we're going to talk about DMZ. This is an HBO show based upon comic books, so technically a DC show on HBO Max about a comic book called DMZ. This was suggested by Black Girl Marvel. Why don't you tell us why you picked it and start off with your initial impression of episode 1?
Okay, so I picked this because I rarely watch new things unless I'm watching it for the real study. And so, because I just don't have time to like watch other stuff, which I'm trying to get better at, but I digress. I like Rosario Dawson as an actress. Usually when she picks things, she has thought into when she picks things. She doesn't just pick things just to be like, it makes me money. It's like something has to be attached to it. It has to be something. So I was like, if she's starring in this, it's probably pretty good. When I looked it up, I saw that it was based on a comic book. And usually when you make a comic book miniseries, they actually are pretty good. Like, cause you have to like tell the story in like 4 to 6 episodes. And this series only has 4 episodes. And I really, really suggested it because I sat down and watched it in one day. Like it was like the first episode was so good that I was like, oh, I gotta see the next one. Oh, I just kept going. My initial reaction was, what am I watching? Because at first it's like, okay, dystopian land. It's so many dystopian, New York is always getting abandoned. Poor New York, they can't catch a break. But it's, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's, I've seen this before. But then to have the element of a mother looking for her son, it grounds it for me. And it's different from the typical, like, father looking for his son or it's always like that. It's like a woman lead looking for her kid, like going out into this like world that's different from what she remembers it to be, because she's been sheltered in a sense with the military and all this kind of stuff, and for her to have to like brave this world and just to see like the domino effects of her actions and in her determination, her resolve. Like I thought it was very well shot. I thought it was like very well acted. I thought it was the cast is amazing, because I think a lot of people forget that Benjamin Bratt is an actor. Like people forget that he exists, and he's amazing in this role.
Yes, that he can act well.
Right, and that he can act. You know what I mean? And so and then to see and then it's also just from a minority standpoint to see like a Latino lead, and then like to have this culture immersed in this world it was just great for me to watch. It was just refreshing. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't even mad that I didn't see black people. I don't care. I saw a few, but like that's not the main focal point. And in all honesty, the race didn't matter in this really.
Right.
It didn't really matter. But just to see like, like Latino leads, Asian leads in this world, it was just great. I thought it was amazing, and I wanted everybody to watch it. So
All right, all right.
Cool.
Rachel, what was your initial impression of DMZ?
Well, I mean, honestly, you had me at Rosario Dawson and post-apocalyptic. I'm like,
Mhm,
I'm there,
mhm.
and it was on my list to watch for sure. And then when I found out that we were watching for this, I was super excited. I'm like, okay, this is going to the top of the list now. Um, I was really into it. Yeah, I mean, I love Rosario Dawson. I've loved her for so long. I agree. I think she picks great projects, and so I trust her judgment. What she's agreed to do is going to generally be great. And I have to say, though, I just had a little bit of anxiety in terms of like, okay, is she going to find her son? I mean, like
Mhm.
until, and are we allowed to give
So
spoilers, or is it like,
we
can we?
the show is a spoiler show. It's part of our tag, but we always,
Okay,
just for the sake of if somebody wants to mute us, say spoiler ahead and then go ahead.
Right.
okay. So then, spoiler coming. Until she found her son, I had like some anxiety about that, right? I just
Mhm.
wanted, and then when she did, I could relax a little bit, like, okay, now we're going to see what's happening. But I think that's because I was so invested in her journey as a character,
Yeah, yeah.
because I really was with her the whole time, and I really wanted to know what was going to happen. So yeah, absolutely. I'll be watching the rest of this. I've only seen the first episode, so I'm going to watch the rest
Yeah.
of it, and
Same.
I'm excited to see it. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good. I will say this though, I knew immediately who her son was. Immediately.
Did
It
you?
wasn't the hardest to pick up on. I'm with you
It
there, but
wasn't.
yeah,
It
I
wasn't. I was
had
like,
notes of feeling that.
that was like one thing that I was like, I wish they would have. But I was like, I know it. I knew it was him.
Yeah.
I was like, it's him.
Brian, what was your initial impression of DMZ?
Yeah, again, like Rosario Dawson, she's really incredible in everything, and she like everyone else has said, like she takes her time and like picks roles and stories that she like I feel like she wants to tell too. So it's not just she's not just looking for the next paycheck kind of thing. I will say it took me a little bit to get into this just because like I was like, another post apocalyptic thing, where it's just like I don't know, we've kind of like I feel like The Walking Dead really killed a lot of that, and it's just like that horse is long dead, and we're just beating on bones at this point. But
Oh my gosh,
um,
yes. Please get me done. And kill
but
all the
this
prequels and
yeah
sequels and
yeah exactly. Um, but I will say like Rosario Dawson does hold my attention through the whole thing. Um, I did not pick up on that person being her son, but when it was revealed to me, I was like, oh damn, okay, I
mm-hmm,
didn't see that coming. And like then I was
mm-hmm.
like even more into it, and also like the Benjamin Bratt element too, like that connection too. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, this is gonna get spicy.
Yeah.
And then like the very end to that thing that she does with the paint and everything was really cool.
It's
Like
beautiful.
yeah. I was like,
That was
oh,
great. That kind of choked me
oh
up a
yeah,
little bit when I saw it.
yeah,
So
I kind of knew what she was gonna write, but I was just like, it kind of like got me a little bit because I was just like, ooh,
yeah,
Yeah.
ooh, it's
That
good.
was great.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
So
I'm right there with Brian on this. I was just kind of like, all right, another comic book show. What are we doing? Okay, the world's divided. Okay, like that's so whatever,
yeah,
whatever. But
kind of an
once we,
Escape from New York
yeah,
vibe,
kind
but
of, definitely
yeah,
had that feel, but in
yeah,
a modern TV kind of way.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
But I think they did a good job of making it feel like it did. I think the building, the Chrysler Building piece, I was like, I know that's a comic cover. I didn't even have to go look it up, but I could tell that was
Right.
it was from a cover.
Yeah.
I've watched too many comic book movies and read too many comics to know that. But once we got into the meat of the characters, once she got to the clinic and we met her counterpart, and
Yeah.
she started to just show how emotionally attached she was to patients, and regardless of what side they were on. I really enjoyed that. Then we saw how dangerous it was just to even go to the outskirts of the city or the island, and it started to really develop that we could feel this was a world. Benjamin Bratt's character, for me, it's a little funny because I always remember the time I almost ran him off the sidewalk as I was walking past his premiere in San Rafael many years ago. He had a small indie film that he had put on, and he and Jimmy Smits were actually walking out of the theater, and I almost ran him over trying to get past them, which was hilarious. So I can't ever not think about that when I see Benjamin Bratt. But
That's funny.
but he is good. Like he can play such a range of roles, and to see him play this dominating character we don't always get to see. He always kind of plays a number two, or a side character in the larger movies. Obviously,
like
he's the
the
Marvel
good guy.
movie, or a good
Or
guy,
like
right?
the good guy.
Always the good guy for the most part. A lot of
Always,
times,
yeah.
So seeing him kind of play the bad guy and kind of run with it was great. I saw the Rosario Dawson connection to him. It just felt too. I don't know. It didn't surprise me, but that's not why I liked this. The emotional connection with her son, the fact that I'm a parent and I get that, like, it really hit hard for me. So far, the two things we've watched both made me cry. So yeah, that's where I'm
Makes
at.
me cry.
Yeah.
I feel proud about that. But can I say what's his name? The lead of the Asian community. His name is
Ortega.
Lee.
Ortega. Not Ortega.
Yeah, but I mean his name is Wilson Lin. Wilson Lin, is such a great character. Like you could see like the back and forth in his like personality of being like, I have to be this thing because this thing has helped me survive in this world.
Right,
And
yeah.
it's making it so I can eat, it's making it so I can do these things. But then when he sees her, it reminds him of who he used to be. And how I think he kind of missed that part of himself, which is why he clung to her the way he clung to her. So I love the back and forth in that. I thoroughly enjoyed that whole like and then for him to like once he actually got rejected in a sense or finally saw the rejection, because it's been there from the beginning. Like she I don't feel like she's ever like enticed him in a way or made promises or anything like that. But once he actually saw that this was a no-go for him, is when his character really turned a corner of like no return. So yeah.
That was one of my favorite scenes. I love that scene too. Yeah, I love that exchange and that relationship. I agree. Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny because we get to just assume things about the character because of no interaction or flashback scenes, which I like that. Let us fill it in. Because I can assume, I can see this guy being both people. Like he did a great job.
Yeah.
I want to talk about grilled cheese. Isn't that the case? That's the character's name, right? Grilled cheese. Am I crazy? Or he loves grilled cheese. I just heard her call him grilled cheese. His name is Odie. Okay, his name is Odie, but she was like, "I want a grilled cheese."
Yeah.
I swore that was his name when I was watching.
Oh, yeah.
So Odie, I think, is such a subtle actor. He's doing a great job of not giving us too much, but he's really drawing me in. I want to know more, and I swear this is going to become like her son. That's my guess. He'll become the person that she takes care of, while her son will become the enemy. That is just my impression of episode 1. But that's what I think will happen.
He's amazing. That little boy is amazing through the 4 episodes. The development, and I will say this, for it only being 4 episodes, the development that they do with everyone, like of all the mains that we see, is amazing. It was just like, and then it just lets me know that we don't need like 24 to 26 episodes, America. We don't need that many episodes to get a story across, to get like feeling. And I mean, I get it. These episodes like an hour a piece, which I'm fine with that. You know what I mean? Because you give us everything we need. Like I would just say just a character development. And I would love for you guys to like make TikToks about it so I can like see what you guys have to say about it once you're done. Because I was just like, yo, it was 4 episodes, and I'm like, so we gonna get some more, or you know what I mean?
Is there a season 2 slated, or is it just a mini series?
It's just a mini series. I haven't seen anything about a season 2.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and the way that it ends makes me want more, because I want to see like, well, what else
What does
could
that
happen?
world
You
have
know?
to offer?
Yeah. So,
All right.
but yeah.
Right now, I can't imagine it being only 4. It just seems like there's so much material there. But
Which way?
Oh wow, I hope they continue with
Yeah.
it. I hope they do more.
I have a complaint, if I
Yeah.
might, because
Oh,
we haven't had
I
we didn't
love it.
complain about Starman at all. Maybe a little, but so I think part of the reason I was turned off from the show right away was when you use camera work to help tell the scene. That's great, but when you overuse something that should just be jarring. So let me explain. So she loses her son on the bus in the very beginning of the episode, and then the world turns upside down. Very classic move for anything where things get topsy turvy. But they hung on that shot until the credits, and I swear it was like 30 seconds. I was like, could you just do a quick? The world turns upside down, and then change angles and go back for me. But they didn't, and it really really weirdly stuck out to me. And I don't normally care about those kinds of things that much. So, little thing.
But you cared this time, huh?
I did.
Was it because it's
I
my
cared.
pick? Was it because it was my pick, Smitty?
Maybe a little. A little. I'm kidding.
I get it. I still love you. It's fine.
So again, that's a style choice. That's literally my choice and what I like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So where do you think it's going to go, Brian? Where do you think this show's headed?
Yeah, give me your good guesses.
I have no idea. Yeah, that's tough, especially with only 4 episodes. Like, I feel like they got a lot to cram in 4 episodes. Yeah, I imagine she's not gonna be too happy with the trajectory her son has gone. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. I almost wonder if she's gonna like try to like pull him away from that, and then there's gonna be this big, like, I don't know, because like Benjamin Bratt's character is trying to become the, like mayor, or like, or was it
Mhm.
governor?
I think it's
He's trying to make that whole, yeah, he's trying to make the DMZ a whole state, and I think that's going to definitely throw a wrench in that. And I think his alliance with all these other people, with her trying to pull her son out of there, maybe. I mean, I can see like that just setting that whole world on fire there. So, but I don't know. That's like the deep, far, like extreme version of things. So I'm not sure. Could go anywhere, but based on one episode, it's hard to like to guess where she's gonna go. So
No, we have another show that we did one episode with, and shows for one episode are tricky, like you said, because if it's just enough information to get you hooked, but not enough to really feel like it gave you anything, then it can be frustrating. First episodes are tricky like that, but both of these shows I think did a good job of making me go, okay, okay.
I never
I'm
get frustrated. Yeah, I never get frustrated if I can't see where it's going right away. But if I'm hooked on it and I want to see more, then yeah, that's great. But if it's like, I mean, if it's both of those for sure, then I'm gonna get. I'm just not gonna continue watching it. Like if it doesn't hook me in the first, there are some shows like I'll give, 2 or 3 episodes. But most shows do a good job with the pilot, trying to get you locked in. Like with Moon Knight, we'll talk about that. Definitely got me locked in, and this one makes me want to see more as well. So
nice,
yeah.
awesome. Any other thoughts on DMZ you guys want to cover?
I'm just excited to see where she goes, where the Rosario Dawson character goes. I cannot wait to find out how she deals with finding out about her son and just how she's going to tackle these moments. I'm super excited to see that. So
I'm excited for y'all. Like I finished it, so I'm just like, ooh, I want to know what everybody got to say.
If I had time, I would have watched it all, and we probably all would have. But that's 4 hours. That's quite a bit on top of everything else. So,
all the other stuff. Yeah.
I don't understand that. I watched this a while ago. It's fine. I get it.
Fair. So I feel like because it is one episode and we don't have a larger universe to talk about, like with Moon Knight, we can kind of talk about other things as well. I think maybe we should just rate this and move on, and maybe we should catch some more episodes, and at least Brian and I can give our thoughts on later.
Yeah, I would love it.
Even if it's just like, oh yeah, I'm loving it, I love where it went, or whatever we do.
Right.
So why don't we? Let's see. I will start for whatever.
Yay!
Kid Me would have watched this because it would have been a comic book franchise. It was dystopian, which I would have loved. which is weird because now I get tired of it. But then I would have been like, oh, dystopian future. Yeah, I think Kid Me would have loved just where it went, the violence. It was intriguing for a character drama, and I will give it Kid Self probably a 7. I give it an 8.5. I think it was a pretty exceptional first episode. Rachel, let's go to you.
Oh wow. I think Kid Me would have been into it as well, for sure. I would have probably wanted to be the Rosario Dawson character, or just to be her sidekick, really, I guess, something like that, but be in there somehow. And maybe I would have been a little bit scared, though. I mean, I was, there's a little bit of stuff that might have kind of scared me a little bit. Maybe a 7. I'm gonna be the same 7, and then me now. I want to do 8.5. Could we do like half numbers? I want to do
Just
8.5. I'm just super excited to see the rest of it and where it goes. So yeah.
Nice. All the movie things.
I think 12-year-old me would have watched this. Yeah, probably would have given it like a 7.5. And for me today, I'd give it about an 8.
All right.
Yeah.
So it sounds
I'm
like so
still
far.
I want to rewatch or keep watching, basically. Yeah. So
Yeah, and the episode 1 is always subject to a little bit of change. I think if the show tapers off really
Right.
quickly, then episode 1 gets hurt by that. But anyway, Black Girl Marvel.
It won't. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I'm 12-year-old me probably would have watched this because I've been a fan of Rosario Dawson since like she was in He Got Game in 1988. So I've been keeping up with her career for like a long time. So 12-year-old me probably would have given this like a 7, 7.5, something like that. Me now, I'm rating the whole thing. For me, this whole series is a 9. And I think it's amazing. Like I love how it began. I love how it ended. It was just, to me, a great bookend. They were just great bookends. Everything in the middle was like delicious. It was like a very delicious sandwich.
A DMZ
you can
Oreo.
partake in. Yeah, actually, it was very good. So yeah, I give this a solid 9 because I really feel like some of the best storytelling we've gotten in a while, and I think people won't pay attention to this show. I really do. I really think people won't. I'm hoping that right ones will, that it'll give it more. If it can do more, like I don't want it to do more than it's trash and then like you ruin a really good series. So if all we get is 4 great episodes and like that's all we get,
You don't want it to go the road of heroes, is what you're saying.
I don't want. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I don't want it to. If you don't have a clear-cut idea of how you want this to go, because it's such a story, is what I'm saying. Like outside of the elements of it being like an apocalyptic dystopian type of thing, it's a great story. At the core, it's a mother and her son. You know what I mean? Like that's at the core of the story. So like if you can't really kind of keep it up or keep some elements of that in it, I don't want it. But like I said, 4 episodes.
I want to not disappoint you, but I want to let you know that the entirety of DMZ, the comic book series, is 72 total issues. So it's not like.
I mean, that's great.
You're not going to get a ton more.
I'm pretty sure I won't, but it's fine though. Like that's like I'm saying. Like the 4 episodes, solid.
Yeah, but maybe we need more of those. Maybe we just need more miniseries.
Honestly, and I would like that too. I would like more. If you want to do more comic booky things, which I'm cool with. Make it so that they're like very hard hitting, even if it's comedy, however it is, whatever genre you want. Make it, if it's like 4 to 8 episodes. I think Marvel has a great thing with having like 6 to 8 episodes of like their TV shows, because we don't need all those episodes. Give me what I need. Don't give me no fluff. Don't give me no extra thing. Just give me what I need. Because I felt like that when with Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock. It was like 3 episodes. And they were all like maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours a piece. But it was great content. 3 episodes a season. And it's just like, and I wanted more, Like
that was a fun show. I like that one. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love the British for the way they've approached things. Because they always.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a lot of British TV. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of British TV is very much like, we're gonna give you 13 episodes. One episode might not be that good, but the other 12 solid. Like that's it's British TV. I love it. Love it.
All right, so that leaves us with one more show to talk about this evening, and that is the one I think we're all the most excited to talk about, and that is Marvel's Moon Knight, the newest character in the MCU, and Moon Knight is played, of course, by the wonderful and amazing and beautiful Oscar Isaac. I have to
God.
note beautiful just because our last week's guest, or 2 weeks ago guest, would have been JJ, and she's obsessed. Well, so am I. Who isn't obsessed with
He was
Oscar Isaac?
gorgeous. Yes.
So, all the movie things. What was your initial impression of Moon Knight this last week?
It's pretty great. Yeah, I loved a lot of the elements in it. I like the way I've mentioned before. Like I like the editing and how they're using the editing to help visually represent some of his mental state and some of his like how things are affecting him. And it's like these like really great like they. It's hard to describe because like there's a thing in editing. So like I'm an editor. And I shoot video as well. So like there's always a thing like they always tell you to cut on action. That's something you always want to do. But what they do is they like take that to kind of an extreme and they like cut way more abruptly than you would expect. Because there is like we do kind of anticipate things when we're watching them. And so what they do is they like play on that anticipation and they'll cut things at different moments than you would normally expect to help get that along, to help get that message along of like what's his mental state kind of going through, especially when the like we're jumping through different times, you know, and he like suddenly is like in a totally different place. I will mention like some of the CG in that car chase very much stood out to me as being kind of off because the rest of the CG seemed pretty great, but then the CGI just in the car chase sequence that was like whoa like it just I don't know what and like someone a buddy Marley actually had mentioned his theory is like oh they're doing that was purposely done due to his to like match with what he's kind of going through mentally, but I was like but they didn't but it wasn't consistent through the whole episode, so we'll see what it's if they do it throughout the rest of the series or not. But that was the one little nitpicky thing that stood out to me. But especially when we're so used to like incredible CGI with Marvel stuff,
Even
I
from
felt
the
like
TV shows.
Yeah, exactly. Even from the TV shows, yeah. But overall, I really loved it, and that ending, you know, that reveal, you know, of the suit and everything, I like was really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see like where else this goes. I mean, and how they play with his like DID. So
I'm going to pick up right there. So I understand. I agree. The CGI, especially the logs, were okay, but the cars specifically going off the cliffs.
yeah, the cars were
pretty
like
bad.
yeah.
But him like even when the guy jumped into the ice cream truck, like you could tell it was two sets, and they kind of spliced them together.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, that was like I was
You
like,
could totally tell. But other than that, I think it was solid
Right.
across the board. I think Ethan Hawke. Holy crap! Him playing a bad guy. We've been needing this for a while. I heard he modeled this.
he's one of those actors
Yeah.
who disappeared for a little
yeah.
bit. Got a breather, live life.
Yeah.
This is no
Uh-huh.
training day Ethan
That's
Hawke,
true.
I'll tell you. This is a totally
That's
different
true.
monster.
Right.
Pun not totally intended. But for me, I think the reason the CGI lacks is that Marvel, just like even with comic books, not every one of these shows has the same budget. So I think this is a smaller
Yeah,
budget because they
yeah.
aren't sure if Moon Knight's going to hit, even with Oscar Isaac. They're still taking a chance. So I think they lowered the budget and cut a few corners. I'm okay with that because it'll make a solid character, and it's already a really good character-driven story. There is one other thing that people have been talking about that I want to bring up, and then I'll move to the next person, and that is his accent as an English person. A lot of people from England have been complaining a bit about his accent not being at all authentic, but we're talking about a person playing multiple persons, right? And maybe the person he's playing right now, or is right now, I should say, not playing, is also trying to fake a British accent because they aren't British. So like, wouldn't that follow that
Yeah.
he would have a bad
Well,
British
Oscar
accent?
Isaac said that was just like a choice he had made, I guess. Like, because it doesn't really say anywhere that the character has an accent. And I
Interesting.
think he just, yeah, I think that was, I saw, or I read an article or an interview with him that's saying that he chose to do that, that it wasn't really, so we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
Then and there's some other interviews of them talking to him about like where specifically his accent is from, and and so he didn't really like pick a specific area, but
You're just like British
so it's
over
interesting.
that whole
Yeah,
island, you know.
yeah.
Black Girl
Uh-oh.
Marvel, what was your initial impression of a Moon Knight?
Um, I didn't have any issues with Moon Knight. I thought it was very well done. I mean, even those moments of CGI, I was just kind of like, nah, all right. I just kind of like, it's whatever. It's what you put in this. It's what you put in there. So I just kind of like, just blinked it out of my mind as like y'all just chose to be a little lazy with this because that's fine, I guess. But they weren't lazy with parts where I was like, okay, this hits. This is good. So it was like I kind of gave that like a pass, I guess. I love me some Oscar Isaac. So like for him to be like a Guatemalan actor, I
Mhm.
feel like his accent, mind you, I ain't like from London or nothing like that, but I feel like his accent was very similar to the woman that was talking to him. Like it was very,
Right.
and I get it. I'm not from London. I'm not British. I don't have an accent. So like I'm pretty sure there are moments where there was like, because sometimes it's like when Chris Hemsworth talks. Sometimes I'm like, you try to be American and it's not working. I can hear it. You know what I mean? I can hear like
Yeah.
you didn't say this word right, and I can get very picky about that. And I feel like Londoners are just the same as I would be. So like I'm
Hmm.
not trying to knock them, but also he's a Guatemalan actor, and I feel like he did a very very good job from other like Londoners and accents and things that I've heard. But I digress on that one. But all in all, I thought it was great. I recorded myself for my YouTube channel, a reaction for this. The entire time, I was just like, I feel so bad for him. Like the like my whole
Yeah.
video is me being like, oh my God, how are you still living life? Like, how are you still getting up to
Yeah.
go to work? How are you still like? I was just so like, I was here the entire time when
Hmm.
I was watching it, and I think it has something to do with what Brian was talking about with the like camera angles and scenes and how they cut and how they move, because it brought me into his mind frame. And like and honestly it's just unsettling to hear a voice is this like, oh, pathetic. Like it's so that would be so
Right.
Oh, the idiot is
unsettling to
here.
hear that type of
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like it's very unsettling. And then it's like how many voices
Yeah.
is in his like are there? Is it like his own voice and then it's Mark, obviously, and then
Hmm.
I'm assuming Moon Knight is the deeper voice. And so it's just one of those things. It's like so it's like and I'm just curious to see like how he became this. Like what is this? Like did it
Yeah.
is this has this been there since childhood? Because I know nothing about Moon Knight. Never read a comic, nothing,
Oh
nothing.
yeah.
This
Yeah. Yeah.
this is very interesting to go in this super blind, not knowing what's going on. I also wrote a DID film, so I was just like, thanks for stealing all my ideas, guys.
It's the week for it, right?
I know, right? But I was like, but I usually when I see my idea already somewhere, I'm like, I got good ideas. So I just kind
Right.
of like,
That's the way
I
to
got
look
good
at
ideas.
it. Yeah.
But I thought it was beautiful, and like Smitty said, Ethan Hawke, man, I was like, it's a subtle villain, but
Hmm.
sometimes those are the best villains to kind of like be subtle in your anger or subtle in your deceiving and all that. Like the moment he killed that woman, I was like, nah. I was like, nah. I
Did
mean, I
he
already knew he
did
was a
he
bad
kill the
guy.
woman?
I think he did, but I mean, maybe Aminette did or what her name is. I was just like, this type of thing. Um, dang, I have one more thing to say. I can't remember. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Rachel, go ahead with your initial impression of Moon Knight.
Yeah, I think I agree with what y'all have said so far. And also for me, I love Oscar Isaac and I really like Ethan Hawke too. So
Hmm.
for me, a lot of if I like the show or the movie really relies on whether or not I like the actors. And then
Yeah.
just think that it just goes so far with me. And so what I really was into about Moon Knight is I had no idea what was going to happen next. I had no idea what was going on in any given moment. And I really loved that. I
Mm.
loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen next? How is he going to deal with this situation? And it just sort of was relentless. It went on and on and on. But I found myself again so invested in how he was going to deal with it. And just feeling bad for him too and all the situations he was in. Like the date like, oh my gosh, and he shows
It
up and
was
he's so
2 days.
excited, and
Oh my
and it's the
god.
wrong day, and I'm like, oh, like my heart
Yeah.
was just breaking for the guy. He's trying so hard, and he's just
Yeah.
this in this crazy situation that he's trying to figure out and trying to handle as best he can. So, yeah, and Ethan Hawke was intense. I mean,
Yeah.
I agree. It was just like a totally new side to him, but I mean, we've seen that a little bit before in some other roles he's had, but I think he is now really getting into this. He's really able to just portray that villain, but not heavy-handed, in a very even way.
Yeah.
And it just got me really excited. The chemistry between Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, I think, is really good. I think there's a tension there that is just fascinating. You never know what's going to happen next. And that's palpable. I think that that is something that you really have to create that in casting.
Hmm.
Really, I mean, you
Yeah. Right.
cannot, you can be an amazing actor, but chemistry is
Yeah.
something that I feel like is really
You can't really
difficult to
fake it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
manufacture. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe
Mm-hmm.
occasionally you can fake it, but you know what? The actors, that's something you really can't control. Like you either have chemistry with somebody, and it doesn't have to be male. I mean, honestly, it could be
Right.
Right.
anything.
It's
Male,
like no
male,
one's
but
real
just
fault or anything.
just
It's
an
just
unknown.
yeah.
In some
What's going to
movies, it's
happen.
apparent when that's the case. You're just like, oh,
Hmm.
Absolutely.
just didn't
And
know
you're like,
that.
did they screen test? Did they screen test these people, or
Yeah,
just
that's the thing.
But I
Yeah.
mean, who knows what happens in the process? Because obviously, there's a lot that goes on. So they may have had, but I don't know. I agree. I really think like chemistry, you either have it or you don't. And so these two actors, there's just that energy there. And that to me is so exciting. What is going to happen next and how are they going? And they're both two strong characters. And Oscar Isaac's character, you can just tell he doesn't know what's going on. But then when his full self is realized, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen?
Right.
Like the
Yeah. Yeah.
whole thing is going to get blown
Yeah.
up in a good way, I think. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
So
excited.
I would like to talk about something mentioned this in the chat. I don't know if we even told you, Rachel. There is a chat going on, a live chat that's people are talking about everything we're doing here, and I don't think we told you about that this whole time. Which is
It's on Twitch.
I did forget to tell you something. It's
I think I saw it though. I think I've seen it.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're a little behind on that, but that's okay. But what I was going to say was that Oscar Isaac is actually neighbors with Ethan Hawke, and he actually ran into him on the street and was like, "Hey, I'm doing a Disney show. We need a villain. You want to come check it out?"
No way, seriously?
Yeah, that's where I heard.
Seriously?
That's how
Oh,
it
that is
happened.
so,
Yeah, they're like
oh, that is
friends.
so neat.
So that's kind of partly how it happened.
That's probably where that chemistry comes from.
Right.
Oh, that is
Right.
so
Yeah.
neat. I love when that stuff happens. Isn't that
Yeah.
cool? That is neat.
Yeah.
That's really
And
neat.
of course,
I mean, I like the scene where what's his name? Where they both are talking in like in the museum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's like Avatar, yeah, the big blue ones, like the back and forth they're doing. He's like, oh, you mean the movie? Like, he's like,
Yeah.
stop playing around. Like, he's like, that back and forth was just like a very
Yeah.
like Marvel has this very
I
like
didn't miss a beat either. with
right
that
didn't miss
thing.
it. It was like they were just playing volleyball. You know what I mean? They just like tennis. They just going back and forth. And I feel like Marvel has this way of like adding humor into very tense situations where part of me is like, I shouldn't laugh, but man, that was hilarious. That was like, it made me chuckle. And like, so I love that they have that element in their TV shows as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this was one hell of a way to open a show with somebody breaking glass and stepping into their sandals with it.
My
Oh,
God, yeah.
man.
When
Oh,
Biggie said
yeah.
this earlier, I
Oh,
immediately
yeah.
was like, "Oh, we're watching the villain first. Okay, let's go."
Oh, yeah.
Because you could just tell that's people are going to
Yeah.
prostrate.
I immediately
or-
knew it was him though. I was
do
like,
that.
oh, it's the hair. It's Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
But as soon as you
Stop
see
it.
a bad guy, do that. The Paul Bettany character in Da Vinci Code, when you see that, oh crap,
Yeah.
okay, this is the bad guy.
Jeez.
And if they're not, man, we need to talk to their shrink.
Listen, did you see the sandals? Only a villain wears sandals like that. That's what I'm saying.
Those
they're
are some
super-
nice. Hold on, they're
No.
nice. They were nice
No,
sandals.
they are
I was
nice.
like, how do I get a
No,
pair
no.
of those?
No,
thought
I
those were
literally
like,
said that. I said that in my video. I go,
shepherd
I want a
sandals.
pair. They look
Oh, you did?
comfortable.
Yeah.
I said that in my video. I'm like, they look comfortable. I would love a pair, but you have to like villains. For the most part, villains always wear like comfortable, like really odd, comfortable shoes because they're just like,
Maybe it's
who's
too
going to do
comfortable for
anything
him.
to
Isn't
me?
that
You know what I
funny?
mean?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, that makes sense.
One of the things I've noticed a lot of people talking about this one too is the fact that Marvel hasn't like been coy about the villain this whole time, and they haven't like, oh, it's this mysterious villain. They like showed you from frame
Immediately.
one who the villain is. You know, like
But
so that's a different trajectory than
It was
that begs the
So-
question, though. Sure, we know who the villain is, but what is this villain? We don't know.
well, yeah, but
enough
that's
about him.
that's the way like a lot of things go. Like we know who it is, but we know that he is an antagonist.
Right.
You know, we just don't know what his ultimate.
But for all
game
we
is
know,
at,
he
so.
could be an antagonist now, but maybe not later. Weirdly, like this character hasn't completely laid himself bare for us to know that. What I was going to say is I've heard a few.
Right,
fan
but the point
theories.
is like they don't make it mysterious who the villain is or anything.
Right,
They
right.
because like before, what Marvel's done mostly is like they've kind of hidden, you know, in the shadows who it's going to be or what's really going on. So I mean,
Or just lied
we know,
outright.
yeah, basically, yeah, exactly. So
Right.
it's different for
Yeah.
them to
Also,
do
I just
this.
love that you don't know anything. I love that this episode has so much, but you still don't know anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
I love that they go that way.
Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless
you.
you.
So I heard a
I
fan
love that they
theory
go that way.
that where he ends up, where he first shows up as Steven, taking over for Mark when he's not supposed to, that area is Latveria, which is Doctor Doom's home country. And I like the thought of that. I just even if it's not true.
That's interesting.
I mean,
Hmm.
what?
I mean, I don't even think
yeah,
about a
I don't.
connection.
Okay.
between, like where he ended up. And
I mean, like it
everything
has
else.
nothing to do with anything, really.
It has nothing to do
It's
with
just like-
this, but with Marvel, they're laying groundwork as they always are. So even if that's
right, but
true,
the thing is, if it's just a theory,
no, I
mean,
know
there's no like signs anywhere that says it's Latveria. There's no like
there might have been.
indication.
I'll get back to you on
that-
that.
Right. So,
Mhm.
are,
we'll
are we
say,
talking about that whole car
um,
chase sequence is
yeah.
in Latveria, or what's supposed to be Latveria?
Yeah, that town where he first meets
Right.
Ethan Hawke, and then he goes through the chase scene, and then once he wakes up
Yeah.
again, he's back in
Mm,
England. So
yeah,
that's just my guess.
I see.
And I'm going to look a little deeper, but it does what I saw. I need to get the details, but I think it made some sense. But I promise I will do that. That said, did you guys see any connections to the larger MCU in this episode whatsoever?
Not really. Not from
No.
this one. And I mean, I've
Me, I've
read
only
that.
seen it once. So.
Yeah, and I've read that they're not really. That this one isn't really going to connect too much to the larger MCU.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't want it to. I want it to lay its own groundwork and then
Right.
blend into the world, right? I don't need like people are so hung up on Easter eggs now. Like, oh, did you see the color
Yeah,
of this
yeah,
thing?
yeah.
It looks just
Uh-huh.
like the thing with the thing, and people go crazy.
yeah,
And sometimes I just want to sit back and enjoy something when I happen to be like, oh, there's a poster of so and so in the back, so that means like I just
Right.
yeah,
you know, you just want to enjoy it, and then maybe in a film somewhere you'll be like they'll reference the town that he was in, or they'll reference something and you're like, oh yeah, because it was in the TV show. You know what I mean? Like we don't need like
hmm
like I feel like I get WandaVision was like that because it was just like it's going to connect to Doctor Strange, so you do little things. But if this can just be like its own standalone thing, and then something else connects back to it, like because essentially if you think about it, that's how the first 10 years was. It was like stuff happened, you would go through it. By the time we got to like Thor, you were like, oh no, that's a reference to the thing
Yeah, it
back in
wasn't as
Iron Man.
deep as
You know
it
what I
is
mean?
now.
It wasn't.
yeah.
It wasn't like now
Mhm.
everybody's
sure.
looking for something around the corner. Like where's the eggs? I'm gonna
It's
find
so
them. Like you know.
yeah, entrenched in
Yeah,
the connections, right? Yeah.
it's like I feel like you lose the story trying to look for the Easter eggs. So I just
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes my brain hurt. I can't do too much of that. And my brain starts hurting like, no. I just want to focus on what's in front of me. And then later
Yeah.
on, I want to have those things come to me when I'm remembering.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I want to have that stuff come to me like, oh, that was cool when this connected this. But
yeah,
Yeah.
too much.
break my
It's
brain
just-
later. Like Doctor Who does that.
I don't know.
so,
I'm trying to.
Doctor
what's going on
Who
with
does
this
that
world.
so well.
Yeah.
Doctor
Yeah.
Who will go 50 years without referencing something, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, did you see it back?" You know, it's like that's the reaction I want. I don't want to be like,
Yeah.
They do
Oh, yeah.
reincorporation really well. Oh, yeah. They'll
Right.
"My
remember.
god, yeah, my
Yeah.
god, yeah."
So Rachel, are you an MCU person? I never even asked when suggesting the show. Are you caught up on Marvel? How much Marvel have you invested in?
I would say some. I am not as caught up as I should be. I tend to, just because of time constraints, I sort of consume stuff when I can. So I'm sort of missing big chunks.
Mm.
But I sort of like that because I when I do, when I am able to sit down and watch stuff and kind of get caught up, I have to not look at spoilers online and just like, I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
gotten to that one yet. So I'm sometimes behind. But it hasn't, as long as I stay away from the online spoilers, I'm okay, and then I get to catch up at times. So
Right.
I'm getting there.
Nice.
I'm getting there. Yeah.
This is probably a good one for you to watch then, since it's not really
It felt
yeah
like it.
too
Yeah. I didn't have to
connected. Like
know
yeah,
everything.
exactly.
I
You'd have to
could
know
sort
anything
of come
before
in.
to watch
No, you
this.
didn't.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, that's good. One of the elements I had mentioned, or that I had mentioned in like TikTok, was the his DID, which was a concern for a lot of people going into this, whether or not they were going to take it seriously. And one of the things I noticed that if you watch through the credits, there's a whole resource that rolls across that talks about NAMI, the NAMI resources, um, which I believe is the National Alliance. It's National Alliance on Mental Illness, and so they throw those resources on there and that connection, and to reach out if like you recognize these things in yourself, kind of thing. And I thought that was really great for them to do. And Oscar Isaac has said that they've really been taking this very seriously about his DID. There's been a couple articles too that I've read that from someone, like people that have written these articles, or people that have like either have DID themselves or have like a adjacent kind of illness, because it is kind of a spectrum, and like dissociation is a thing that pretty much anyone can do. Like you don't have to have dissociative identity disorder to necessarily dissociate. If you have trauma, you can dissociate and like forget that something traumatic happened to you, and so we dissociate from that, and it's pretty normal. Um, and so people are like really mentioning and saying like, no, they're just from this first episode. Of course, it's all they have to go off of, but that they've done a pretty good job of like the authors in these articles can see themselves basically in this. Like they do call out some of the elements of like you probably wouldn't necessarily actually talk to your alter state of yourself. You wouldn't have those voices, and you wouldn't be having conversations with them necessarily, but like the idea of like waking up somewhere else, and like having to like pick up the pieces from what's one of your alters has done, and like it may not be this extreme either. Like it could be like you like broke something
Or
in
walk
your
into a
house,
different
and then
room.
yeah, exactly, and you just but and like the current version you don't remember what happened, so you got to like backtrack. So I'm excited to see them like how they're going to handle the future of his his disorder, and if it still maintains like the good work that they're trying to do.
I watched the episode twice, just because I did enjoy it, and I watched it right when it came out, so I kind of wanted to watch it a little closer to the show. And even those little subtle things, when he first interacts with the girl he asked out to stake, the first time they interact, and he's like,
Yeah.
Are you asking me out? And she's like, oh, you're silly. Because he already did. He already had
Yeah,
asked her out.
exactly.
He had already figured it out.
Yeah,
But
Mark
the first
did.
time I didn't
Mark was
catch
like, "She
that,
cute,
right?
bro."
Right. So like I love that even the subtlest things like that, or his entire ritual to go to bed, with the door and the tape,
Yeah.
and all of that, which of course Mark obviously figured out how to get around that.
That was in my
Yeah.
head the whole time. Like when I watched it, because I only watched it once. I watched it literally before the podcast, and I was like, which I usually do things. It kind of like stays a little bit more fresher in my mind when I do stuff like that. But I watched it and I was like, oh, he didn't ask her. Somebody else asked her. Interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really relying on the DID thing to like kind of like pay attention to that, but I was like, like he didn't ask her, but he asked her. So I was like kind of in it that way. And then when he would do his ritual, I was like, bro, if you've been doing this forever, they figured it out by now. Like, technically,
Right.
I was like, because like
Yeah.
even the way he pulls up the tape is very like it's very easy to pull it up and then to put it back down. It's very like if
Yeah.
you know the code, they know the code.
In
Like
the
you know what I
same
mean? They
room
can,
as the blue tape, Mark could go over and grab the roll. Like
you
you're
know
not
what I mean?
hiding
Like
it
it's
from
one of
Right.
those
Just put a
things
new
we're
one
not
in.
hiding
Yeah.
anything, and so it's just
Yeah.
like it was just like interesting for me. But it's also like as a person who's watched a couple of shows where they like United States of Terra is a very D.I.D. Layton show where
Yeah.
where Toni Collette plays multiple characters, and then you have like the split series and all that type of stuff, like you know, and so then it's like Doom Patrol, like you know you see it a lot now. So it's just like one, I would have been very disappointed if Marvel didn't take it seriously when it's a lot of material around here for them to kind of like reference to or look at. But
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about Marvel because they seem to be taking care when they decide to touch on something to do something like this. But like I was just watching it, so like those TV shows that I watched would come back in my brain, and I'll be like, but they will figure this out. They would make it. They would clean this up, and the only thing they couldn't clean up was just how tired he was, and that's like, you know, you just like
Damn.
he's just exhausted, you
Yeah.
know. So the entire episode, I was just like, he just can't catch a break. I just felt so bad.
I
Let's
Like,
know.
talk
the
about
entire
staying
episode.
awake.
No, totally.
That's true.
Yeah.
Listen, what did she say? She said that for you to be functional, I believe she said
5
in the
hours.
video, 5 hours. And I yelled in my living room. I was like, that's about as much time that I get like 5 hours of sleep at night. Like 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night. And I know when I get less, I'm irritable. I'm like a totally different person. Like I'm like, but I was like, I get about the minimum. I was like, something has to change. I was like, this show made me reevaluate my life. I was like, something needs to change.
Now,
Yeah.
can we talk about his jaw when he woke up?
Oh my god, that was
They did good on that. I think they spent some of the money from the car scenes on that
on the jaw. Yeah.
because it looked good.
Yeah.
And it was believable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you want to reach up and at least like adjust it a little?
It
dude?
made me
Like,
cringe a little bit.
Yeah.
It made me cringe.
And then that scene where, of course, Ethan Hawke has entire control of this town, and he, tells everybody to get down in their language.
He was like,
Oh, bollocks! Just
Yeah.
little funny moments. So it had funniness. It had humor. It had elements of sweetness, sorrow. I mean, it had a lot of emotions, which Oscar, we expect Oscar to.
I feel like Oscar,
to do that.
the bathroom scene was a great scene to me. That back and forth of like him talking to Mark
Yeah.
and going back and forth, and he's like, just give control, just give us control. Like you're gonna die, like you're not gonna die. He's like, look at me. He
I
just
can
kept telling
save
him,
you. Yeah.
like, look at me, and then for him
Or I
to
can
be
save
like,
us. Yeah.
I felt like that was a turning point for Steven because it was just like at this point I felt like he was just like, this isn't real. I'm crazy. I'm losing my mind. This is not. But then for him to like, for Mark to be like, look at me, and then for him to actually look at him and to be and like when he gave himself over, I was like, he knows this is real. I was like, he knows. I was like, this is a moment where he knows this is real. And again, that effect of Moon Knight coming out is such a beautiful effect. I just love like it because that's what it's doing. It's like consuming him, like his whole body mentally. So like the fact that the wrappings consume him, I think that was a great way of putting on the suit. And it just made me laugh when the creature tried to escape, but he couldn't. I was like, oh, now
he
you're
like
trying
wanted
to
to
leave.
get out of there.
I just thought it was so funny.
Let's talk about that suit for a second, because another interesting thing I heard on TikTok was somebody saying that the suit, since the whole show is from Steven's perspective, is the suit real? Or is it something he's seen?
I mean, I think it
I
is
think that's
because
interesting. It is interesting.
I think it's real because he gets his ability. I mean, because there's a whole Egyptian stuff that we haven't like delved into yet. In
You've
the show,
read the
which,
comic,
like,
right?
if you know the comic, I mean, I know a little bit about it, but like Mr. Marvel out here, he could like go down this rabbit hole for us, but yeah, there's like an Egyptian god that kind of like is
That's what I
involved with,
assumed.
which is that voice that we're hearing.
Yeah, that's why I assumed. Yeah, so it was like, because they kept talking about Egyptian gods and this one and this one, and then Ethan said something about like, well, these other gods, turned on her, and I was like, obviously Moon Knight's one of them guys. I was like,
right, yeah.
It's like it's I was connecting things, but I think it's real because I will have to go back and watch it again, but I think it's real because he might have blood on his hands, but is there ever blood or anything on his clothes?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I would say that it's real because he's not covered in blood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he's not covered,
But
I have to
neither
go
is
back
the
and
white
watch it.
suit.
But the white suit's magic. I mean,
So like it's a blood absorbing magic cloth. That's fine. I
I
can
would
I
say-
can
I would
buy that.
say-
I can
I would say,
I mean, I don't
yeah.
know.
If I have to
I
deal
think
with
it's real,
orbs and Starman, you got to deal with cloth
Right.
absorbing blood.
That's fine.
Okay?
I'll deal with my absorbing blood
There's
cloth.
always some mystery that we just has to remain a mystery.
Exactly.
Did you guys notice that F. Murray Abraham is listed as in this show?
Mhm.
Who?
F.
He has
Murray.
a- I
F.
think
Murray
he-
Abraham.
I
Yeah.
think he's a voice.
Is he? Really?
He may be
Yeah.
the voice.
I think it is a voiceover. Yeah.
Oh.
I think he's that Egyptian.
Kong Shu.
Yeah, Khonshu's voice,
So
yeah.
there he is. He's playing the voice then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's pretty
Oh,
neat.
I love
Yeah.
this guy. I just never knew his name. That's cool.
Yeah, like the TED joke. F. Murray Abraham. You know, except in this case it would have been, F. Scott Fitzgerald in the TED joke. Anyway, never mind. You guys have seen Ted, I hope.
Yeah, once.
Once, so it's not. All right. I've seen it a few times, and it's funny because I don't like Mark Wahlberg as an actor, but I love Ted.
All right.
Makes sense out of that one.
Listen, every actor that you don't, for every person that doesn't like an actor, there is one movie of theirs that they do like.
Yeah, he has like 4, which I won't. Yeah, we don't need to go.
No. I'm just saying though, like it's like he's not like he's one of those actors too where I just feel like his likability is the fact that he's a handsome guy and he picks things that are interesting that people are like, oh, I'm curious to see how that turns out, type of thing. You know what I mean? So he's not the worst actor I've seen, but he's not like the best. Like, I'm like he has moments where he's like, this shines. He shines in this.
Don't
This is nice.
cast a Bostonian who usually plays kind of an idiot as a roboticist from Texas. I just don't do that. Like that bothers me.
That is
But,
so funny. He can't branch out.
He can, but he didn't do a Texas accent at all, and I just didn't buy him doing circuitry.
But plus,
I
there's
just
so
didn't.
many other people to choose from. Exactly.
You
I
could
can't.
have
I
McConaughey
don't like
could
that
have
word.
played that role. Not that I want him in.
Hello,
Transformers movie.
exactly.
Honestly,
Exactly.
or how about
I
you
agree.
don't make him Texan, make him Boston, and he moved to Texas because that's
They
what
could
he
have
got.
one
You know what I
line.
mean? Like,
Boom.
let's
mean-
just make it make sense.
'Cause
Okay,
they do
Like,
have a
just-
big robotics thing in Boston, actually, a company, Boston
I'm
Dynamics.
just
makes.
saying he could have been a Bostonian.
Yeah. They could
They
have had it
moved.
take place in Boston, but you wouldn't have the big sweeping Michael
Right.
Bay style shots.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Texas. Anyway, so this we got to do a
That's
quick
true.
rating because we're going to run over and we can't do that.
Of course we are.
Because we do that sometimes. So quick rating. Just tell me what you think in numbers. Rachel, what do you think of this first episode in numbers?
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm gonna give it an 8. I can't wait to see where it goes next, and terrifying too. Terrifying. So I'm there for all of the surprises that are coming. So 8.
Love it. All the movie things.
I'm gonna give it a 9. Yeah, I'm really into it. Yeah, I've been excited for this one for a while. So, yeah, it just feels like it's a very different,
Mhm.
product from Marvel. So, I'm excited.
Fair enough. Black Girl Marvel.
I'm super excited for this series again because I'm diving in with no knowledge of who Moon Knight is, and I'm looking forward to going back into reading stuff and to be like, oh, they did this and they did, So I'm gonna be like all the movie things. I'm gonna give this a solid 9. Oscar Isaac is great. Ethan Hawke is great. I'm just excited.
Yeah, his
This
performance is
this
really good.
for the
in this.
first time in a long time, a TV show made me go, oh my god, like why are we doing this to the main lead? Like I was very invested in his like mental health, his
Yeah.
physical health, everything. So
I'm with you. I'm going to agree. 9, kind of across the board, and I hope it keeps that 9 pace. If it dips to a 7, I'll be okay. If it goes lower, we might struggle. But so far,
If
I've
it
liked
dips to
all
a 7, I'm
of
there.
the Marvel shows have been good to me. I'm not one of those
Yeah.
naysayers. I liked
Yeah,
What
yeah.
If. I liked Winter Soldier
Mhm.
or Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
When some people didn't, I'm enjoying it. So
Mhm.
that said, I want to say so much a great thank you to our special guest Rachel.
yeah.
Yes, thank
for
you,
showing up.
Rachel.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rachel.
Yeah, this has been fun,
Thank
and
you all.
we of course will always say you are welcome back because fun guests are always welcome back.
Definitely.
Not that unfun guests, but not that we haven't had our fun guests. All of our guests have been great. That said, we do a special thing with our channel. We actually raid other channels because we're on Twitch. So I've actually got this preloaded because I'm in a hurry tonight. But that said, this has been a great episode of The Real Study, episode 25. We will be back next week. And The Batman in a couple of weeks once it hits HBO.
Yes.
So that'll be
Can't
fun.
wait. I need to talk about this with somebody.
Right? I get to see it finally. So anyway,
Yes.
here we go. We're gonna raid Squid 0044. And let's see what that's like. She is a hardcore first-person shooter gamer, Call of Duty, but she's somebody I've been following a long time. She's actually on TikTok as well.
Nice.
So that said, I hope you guys all have a great evening.
Bye.
Have a good week, guys. Thanks again, Rach.
Thank you.
You're great, Rachel. This is